The crowd roared as Elvis finished his last song, his voice echoing through the grand hall. Fans waved, screamed, and cheered, their excitement filling every inch of the air. He smiled, wiping sweat from his forehead under the bright stage lights, preparing to say his goodbyes. But just as the band began to fade out the final chords, something unexpected happened. From the dimly lit side of the stage, a soft light began to glow, and a figure slowly stepped forward. A woman, tall, graceful, wearing a shimmering silver gown that seemed to glow on its own. The audience fell silent. Even Elvis looked puzzled, glancing at his band as if to ask, "Who is she?" No one knew. The music faltered for a moment, but the pianist, sensing something extraordinary, continued to play. The woman walked closer, her heels echoing against the wooden stage. Then, without a word, she reached for the second microphone. Elvis tilted his head, curious, but instead of stopping her, he smiled politely, almost amused. She began to sing. Her voice, soft at first, rose gently into the hall, rich and pure, wrapping around every note Elvis had just sung. The sound was hauntingly beautiful. Gasps spread through the crowd like a wave. The harmony between their voices was perfect, as if they had sung together for years. Elvis looked at her again, stunned by how effortlessly she matched his tone and emotion. For a moment, he forgot the lyrics. His hand trembled slightly as he found his place again. Something about her presence felt familiar, her smile, the way her eyes seemed to hold stories from another time. The crowd couldn't look away. Some fans covered their mouths, tears welling up. Camera flashes began, trying to capture this mysterious, magical duet that no one had expected. The silver fabric of her dress caught the lights and shimmered like stars every time she moved. As the song built to its final chorus, Elvis and the woman stood side by side, their voices blending into something almost unearthly. Every note carried raw emotion, nostalgia, love, pain, and peace all at once. The audience could feel it in their chests, as though the music itself was reaching out to comfort them. When the final chord rang out, the woman turned slightly toward Elvis and gave him a look, a soft, knowing smile that made him freeze in place. The silence that followed was heavy, not awkward but sacred. No one clapped right away, everyone was too stunned to move. Elvis opened his mouth to speak, but the woman simply nodded and stepped back into the shadow she had come from. The crowd erupted suddenly, a thunderstorm of applause and screams filling the hall. Elvis tried to follow her with his eyes, but the spotlight dimmed, and she was gone. He turned back to the audience, his face pale but glowing, as if he had just witnessed something divine. Deep down, he knew this moment would stay with him forever. A performance unlike any other, shared with a woman whose voice felt like it came from heaven itself. Backstage was chaos. Crew members rushed around, still buzzing from the incredible performance. Reporters were already gathering outside the dressing room, eager to know who the mysterious woman was. Elvis moved through the crowd silently, still dazed, his guitar hanging loose at his side. He could still hear her voice echoing in his mind, soft and full of emotion. "Who was she?" someone asked. Another voice replied, "No one knows. She wasn't part of the lineup." The confusion only grew. Elvis's heart was pounding, not from the show, but from something deeper, a strange pull, a familiar warmth he couldn't explain. He walked toward the piano at the far end of the backstage area. The room was dimly lit, filled with the faint scent of old wood and stage perfume. That's when he saw her. The same woman, standing quietly beside the piano, her silver gown glowing faintly under the yellow light. She wasn't surrounded by anyone this time. She stood alone, calm, her hands folded gently in front of her. Elvis froze in his tracks. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, she turned toward him slowly and smiled, the same warm, gentle smile she had given him on stage. Elvis took a cautious step closer. "Ma'am," he said softly, his voice trembling, "how did you?" He stopped mid-sentence. She removed her sunglasses. His breath caught in his throat. Her face, it couldn't be real. She looked exactly like his mother, Gladys Presley, the woman who had passed away years earlier. Younger, radiant, and full of peace. Elvis's eyes widened as tears began to form. "It can't be," he whispered, his voice breaking. The woman stepped closer, placing her hand gently on his shoulder. "You promised to keep singing, son," she said, her voice steady, loving, exactly as he remembered from childhood. The room grew still. A few crew members nearby froze where they stood, unable to look away. The air itself seemed to hum softly. Elvis's lips quivered. "Mama," he whispered, almost afraid to believe it. She smiled again, a soft tear glistening on her cheek. "I never really left, baby. I just came to hear you sing one more time." Elvis reached out, but before his hand could touch hers, the lights flickered. Her image began to fade, her silver gown turning translucent like mist under the spotlight. "Wait, please, don't go," Elvis cried out. But she only nodded, whispering, "You've made me proud." Her final words echoed like a melody through the room. In that moment, she vanished, her form dissolving into a faint shimmer of light. A single white feather floated gently down from where she had been standing, landing softly on the piano keys. The sound of the note it struck was pure and haunting. Elvis stood frozen, tears streaming down his face, as everyone in the room watched in stunned silence. No one spoke for a long time. The feather rested there, glowing faintly in the soft light, proof that what they had witnessed was beyond human understanding, a brief meeting between a son and his mother, across the boundaries of life and death. The hall was empty now. The echoes of applause had faded into silence, leaving only the soft hum of the stage lights. Elvis sat alone on the edge of the stage, still wearing the same outfit, his hands clasped tightly together. The microphone stand stood tall before him, and at its base lay the white feather, the same one that had fallen from the air after the mysterious woman vanished. He picked it up carefully, holding it between his fingers as if it were made of glass. The feather shimmered under the light, pure and delicate, and in that small, simple thing, Elvis felt something greater than words, peace, love, and a connection that time could not break. He closed his eyes and remembered her voice. The way she had sung with him, the way her words backstage had touched something deep inside him. He could still hear her say, "You've made me proud." Those words replayed over and over, echoing in his heart like a lullaby. He took a deep breath, his chest heavy with both sorrow and gratitude. Was it real? He whispered to himself, his voice barely audible. Was it really her? There was no answer, only the gentle rustle of the curtain behind him as if the air itself was responding. Elvis looked out into the dark, empty seats, the same seats that had been filled with thousands of fans just hours ago. He smiled softly. "You saw her too," he murmured. "Didn't you?" He placed the feather on the microphone stand, just below where his lips would meet the mic. Then, still sitting there, he strummed his guitar quietly, humming a tune that wasn't part of his usual set list, a slow, heartfelt melody that felt like a conversation with heaven. Every chord seemed to carry a memory, every note a whisper from his mother's soul. When the song ended, Elvis didn't stand. He stayed there, head bowed, tears glistening under the stage lights. It wasn't sadness that filled him anymore, it was calm. A deep, almost spiritual stillness. He gently touched the feather again and said softly, "Thank you, Mama. I'll keep singing." Those words felt like a promise. From that night onward, every single concert he performed began the same way. Before singing his first song, Elvis would place a single white feather on the microphone. It became his quiet ritual, his way of remembering that sacred night. Fans noticed it immediately and started calling it the Feather Night. No one ever truly knew who that woman had been, though theories spread everywhere. Some said she was an angel, others said it was a vision from beyond. Elvis never explained it fully. Whenever reporters asked, he would simply smile, look up toward the sky, and say, "She was my angel." Years later, after his passing, that story became one of the most mysterious and beautiful moments in music history. The stage that night had witnessed something rare, not just a performance, but a reunion between a mother and her son, a meeting of two souls connected by love stronger than death. And even now, in the hearts of his fans, the legend of the mysterious woman and the feather lives on, a symbol of love, faith, and music that never dies.